Chapter 91 Earth Level Skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not long after, Ling Feng arrived at the medicinal field that Xianxia was talking about. The medicinal field was covered with small purple shrubs that were half a person tall. Under those palm-sized purple leaves, there were strips of deep and crawling trees. Colorful little bugs. If you don't know it, you will definitely think that these dark-colored little bugs are real bugs. However, this is the fruit produced by this kind of purple badger tree, called purple bug fruit. These fruits are almost the same as worms in appearance, and they can also move. They look exactly like real worms, but they are just the purple worm fruits constantly adjusting their direction and absorbing the aura of heaven and earth escaping around them. Therefore, from a distance, it looks like those insects are crawling on the leaves. Although this kind of purple insect fruit is considered a relatively special spiritual fruit, it is not a top elixir in this medicine garden. Even if someone comes here, they won't care too much. Ling Feng got the hint and knew that there might be a purple spirit crystal here, so he came here to pick it. Ling Feng had also faintly smelled a strange fragrance before, and after thinking about it, it must have been emitted by the purple spirit crystal. Kneeling down, Ling Feng's eyes suddenly lit up. I have seen some purple badger trees in other places, but compared to the purple badger trees here, they are not at the same level, and especially in this medicinal field, they grow extremely luxuriantly. Generally speaking, a purple badger tree will bear one purple insect fruit when it dies, but there are several trees here that bear 3, 4, or even more purple insect fruits. No wonder Xianxia said that there are purple spirit crystals here. Ling Feng nodded secretly. Most people would not notice these not-so-precious spiritual fruits at all, especially when they enter the medicine garden for the first time. Ling Feng touched the bridge of his nose. Because of what happened just now, he didn't have much time left, so he had to hurry up. Carefully opening the lush leaves of the purple badger tree, Ling Feng finally saw a purple spirit crystal under a purple leaf where 3 leaves were closed together. The purple spirit crystal looked like a slender hair, sparkling and glowing with purple fluorescence. If you don't look carefully, it is difficult to find the precious purple spirit crystal here. As a handyman disciple, Xianxia was not qualified to pick the elixir directly, so she originally planned to finish weeding and then report it to the deacon above. But because Ling Feng helped her, she decided to hide the fact that she discovered the purple spirit crystal. After carefully putting the purple spirit crystal away, Ling Feng flashed and continued to look for other elixirs. Soon, half an hour passed. The disciples who entered the spiritual medicine garden returned one after another, and Ling Feng also returned from the medicine garden on time, and finally returned to Wentingguang and Yu Yunlan. "Boy, how are you? The harvest is not bad, right?" Wentingguang raised his eyebrows at Ling Feng and smiled. "Yeah, not bad." Ling Feng nodded slightly and met Yu Yunlan's eyes. This girl with the appearance of a fish and a wild goose cast an encouraging look at him. Elderly counted the number of people, suddenly frowned, and said in a deep voice, "Why is there one person missing?" "It's Wu Pingji. Wu Pingji hasn't come back yet." A young man who was familiar with Wu Pingji said loudly. "Wu Pingji." Elderly pondered for a moment and then raised his voice. "Has anyone seen Wu Pingji in the medicine garden?" The disciples looked at each other and shook their heads. At this moment, a powerful voice came from the medicine garden. "No need to look for it, that boy has been driven away by me." "Humph, you dare to be dishonest under my nose. You are not qualified to stay in the medicine garden." This voice turned out to be Yuan Xianxia. Elderly was stunned for a moment, and when he saw it was Yuan Xianxia, he could only sigh. Yuan Xianxia is famous for his bad temper, so Wu Pingji might not get any good results if he falls under his influence. "Well, since it is Elder Yuan's wish, I have nothing more to say." Elderly looked around among all the returning disciples, and finally landed on the young man in red robe. The young man in red robe had a proud smile on his face. It was obvious that he had gained a lot from this trip. Elderly nodded secretly. The boy's name was Ling Feng, and he was an outstanding junior in Elder Li's family, although it seems that the disciples of the spiritual medicine garden are just taking care of the spiritual flowers and herbs in the spiritual medicine garden, which seems like nothing special. In fact, the spiritual medicine garden is a huge vacancy. The daily work of taking care of the elixirs is done by the handyman disciples. These elixir garden disciples only need to be responsible for delivering the collected spiritual flowers and herbs to the alchemy room, not to mention that the tasks are leisurely, and the martial arts are all indispensable, and even some marginal waste is taken away, so no one can say anything. Therefore, the spiritual medicine garden is a good place that most of the newly recruited disciples of the Xianxia sect are trying to squeeze in. If you win the medicine garden picking competition when you enter the garden, you can also be rewarded with the top prefecture level skill in the elixir garden, Xianyuanjinjue. In the sect world, according to the level of the skills, they can be divided into non-stream skills, mainstream skills, yellow level skills, mysterious level skills, earth level skills, heaven level skills and king level skills. Of course, there are more advanced holy level skills and god level skills in the legend. However, these are almost techniques that appear in myths and legends. Originally, the Wenxian Qi refining technique practiced by Ling Feng was just a technique created by the founder of the Wenxian sect. It was barely a yellow level technique. Compared with the Xianyuanjinjue, it was simply inferior. Traveled thousands of miles. The reason why when Tingguang asked Ling Feng to participate in the medicine garden picking competition was so that Ling Feng could learn the Xianyuanjinju. This is an earth-level skill that can be practiced with any physical attributes. Even among the Xianxia sect, it is considered a very good training method. If Ling Feng changes to Xianyuanjinju as soon as possible, it will definitely be beneficial to him without any harm. Similarly, Elder Li also hopes that the younger members of his family can acquire this skill. If they succeed in their studies in the future, they may not be able to return to the family and bring glory to their family. Now, take out all the spiritual flowers and herbs you have collected. For every new disciple who joins the spiritual medicine garden, the spiritual medicine collected on the first day can be yours. As soon as Elder Li said this, the disciples immediately opened their mouths in excitement. This was obviously an unexpected surprise. Okay, you all line up one by one, and I will record for you the types of elixirs you have collected. After Elder Li finished speaking, he sat on a seat that had been prepared nearby. When Tingguang and Yuan Xianxing also took their seats respectively, they will personally look at the spiritual flowers and herbs collected by everyone to judge the overall level. I'll do it first. Li Yunfan was the first to walk out, took out his medicine basket, and said with pride, Elder Li, I only collected 3 kinds of Xianpin elixirs, among which this cold frost fruit should be. Is it the most precious spiritual fruit in the first area of the spiritual medicine garden? Well, the cold frost fruit is indeed one of the rarest among Xianpin elixirs. Yes, the 3 elixirs you collected are all first-class rare varieties in the first area. Elder Li nodded slightly and registered the names of the 3 elixirs collected by Li Yunfan. When Tingguang and Yuan Xianxing glanced at each other and nodded without any objection. In fact, this competition only opened the first area of the elixir garden, and the most precious elixir in the first area was indeed the Xianpin elixir. Hearing Elder Li's comments, Li Yunfan immediately showed a proud look, turned around and glanced at Ling Feng provocatively, and sneered in his heart, so what? If you, a kid like you, interfere with each other with the help of Mr. Wen's relationship, Xianyuan true secret is destined to belong to me. Ling Feng didn't even bother to glance at him. Who is better and who is worse will be revealed soon. Thank you, AI Runyon, for your reward support, thank you. Chapter 92 He cheated. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. The spiritual flowers and herbs collected by a disciple of the famous medicine garden were recorded one by one. These disciples were able to be selected by Elder Li, so they naturally had some ability to identify elixirs. Basically, they could select Xianpin elixirs, but their ability to judge in terms of age, maturity and growth status was still lacking. For example, for the same kind of fruit, those with a higher vintage are naturally better than those with a lower vintage. The ones that are just mature are certainly better than the ones that have already started to decay. The entire testing process was carried out in an orderly manner, but no one could surpass Li Yunfan's results. The cold frost fruit is indeed a peak mysterious elixir that is difficult to surpass, and the year and maturity level selected by Li Yunfan are both excellent. Even if the cold frost fruit is also selected, it is impossible to beat his results. Finally, it was the turn of the last person, Ling Feng. Ling Feng placed his medicine basket on the table and said calmly, These are the 3 types of elixirs I selected. Yes. Elderly nodded slightly. Because of Wen Tingguang, his attitude was very gentle and he did not show any obvious favoritism to Li Yunfan. Elderly took out the elixirs from the medicine basket one by one. The first item is the strange velvet blooming chrysanthemum, that when he saw the first elixir, Elderly's expression changed slightly, because this was already an elixir that was no less than the cold frost fruit. The most important thing is that all the flowers, leaves and roots of the strange velvet babel chrysanthemum collected by Ling Feng are intact and without any flaws. This is not something that ordinary people can do. Even a veteran like him who has been dealing with spiritual flowers and spiritual herbs for many years cannot say that he can do it better than Ling Feng. In comparison, Li Yunfan's methods are quite childish. Taking a deep breath, Elderly took out the second elixir. The second thing is, the nightmare flower. Similarly, it was another elixir that was not inferior to the cold frost fruit, and the technique was very skillful, completely crushing Li Yunfan. Seeing Elderly's expression, Li Yunfan became a little uneasy. He also knew those elixirs, but due to time constraints, he had already made the best choice. The third one, and the third one. Li Yunfan held his breath and prayed silently in his heart. The third elixir selected by Ling Feng was a very ordinary elixir. As a result, his overall score could not surpass his own. Although he also felt that this was impossible, he still held a trace of fantasy in his heart. With a sigh, Elderly carefully grabbed a handful in the medicine basket again, but found nothing. Huh? Elderly was stunned for a moment. Where's the third item? Little friend Ling Feng, there doesn't seem to be a third elixir in the basket, right? No third piece. For a moment, the medicine garden disciples looked at each other in shock. Did he just pick 2 elixirs? Maybe I lost one accidentally. Then it's such a pity for him. If it were me, I would want to die. Li Yunfan couldn't help but gloat. Ha ha ha, what a twist, you only picked 2 pieces, so how can you surpass my score? Oh my god, no way. Xiao couldn't help but frown. What did this guy do? Such a good opportunity was wasted like this. Yu Yunlan's heart was also filled with worry. If there was no third elixir, even if the 2 elixirs collected by Ling Feng were better than Li Yunfan, his efficiency in collecting elixirs could still be criticized. As a result, the first place is likely to fall on Li Yunfan. This kid. Wen Tingguang's eyes immediately changed. Is it easy to come up with such a way to teach him advanced cultivation techniques? Even if he casually collects one more ordinary Xianpin elixir, the overall result will be enough to seal the victory. Only Yuan Qianqing glanced at Ling Feng with a half-smile. He vaguely heard some of what Xianxia said to Ling Feng, purple spirit crystal. As soon as the purple spirit crystal is taken out, there is no suspense at all. Elderly, please carefully search the bottom of the medicine basket. The third elixir I collected is relatively small. The expression on Ling Feng's face was always calm and calm. He bowed his hands to Elderly and said calmly. Small. Elderly nodded slightly, and Yi Yan groped carefully, and sure enough he caught a very small filament. There is a bright purple crystal thread about 3 inches long, like a dragon's whisker. Although it is very small, when it is taken out, it emits a faint fragrance, which is refreshing. This is. Elderly held the thin thread-like purple spirit crystal and looked at it for a long time, and finally said in shock, this is the purple spirit crystal. Yes, it's the purple spirit crystal that mutates from the purple insect fruit. Ling Feng nodded slightly. Even though it's just a small piece of purple spirit crystal, which is as big as a hair, it's worth more than the combination of the strange velvet sky chrysanthemum and the nightmare flower. 10 times higher, because this is the only earth-grade elixir in the first area. Area 1 is indeed the area where Xianpin and Huangpin elixirs are planted, but the purple spirit crystal mutated from the purple insect fruit is the only variable in it. The mutated purple spirit crystal can break through the limits of the elixir itself and reach the level of the earthly elixir. The final result is self-evident. How could it be purple spirit crystal? In Li Yunfan's mind, it was as if he was struck by thunder, and the first place that he thought was within his reach actually flew away again. Such ups and downs were really hard for him to accept. Xianyuan Jinjue can only be passed down to the first, and each batch of new disciples who enter the spiritual medicine garden only have one chance to compete for this earth-level technique. Now, this dream is completely shattered. I don't believe it. Li Yunfan was as angry as an inflated balloon and stared at Ling Feng coldly. This kid must have cheated. He brought this purple spirit crystal into the medicine garden in advance. He cheated and should be cancelled. Competition qualification. It is indeed very rare for a purple insect fruit to mutate into a purple spirit crystal, and if the mutation is not picked out in time, it will dissipate soon, so Li Yunfan's guess is not too outrageous. Hey, you guy, you have to have some brains to slander people. It was clearly Mr. Wen's impromptu idea that Mr. Ling was allowed to participate in this match. According to your point of view, you want to say that Mr. Wen is also an accomplice. Helped Mr. Ling cheat. Xiao immediately put her hands on her hips and retorted. Of course I didn't mean it like this, Li Yunfan was immediately choked by Xiao's words. Even if he had 300 courage, he would not dare to say that when Tingguang helped Ling Feng cheat. Li Yunfan, stand down. Elder Li couldn't sit still anymore and immediately pulled Li Yunfan away. He bowed his hand to Wen Tingguang and said with an apologetic smile, Mr. Wengu, this kid is young and ignorant. He doesn't know how to do it. Don't take it to heart when you say it. Wen Tingguang shrugged and looked at Ling Feng. I'm not the one who was wronged anyway. You go ask Ling Feng. If he doesn't mind, of course I don't care. Elder Li quickly nodded in agreement, turned to look at Ling Feng, and said with a smile, Mr. Ling, you. Before Elder Li could finish speaking, Ling Feng interrupted him, looked at Li Yunfan, and said word by word, aren't you dissatisfied with me? Then, I will give you a chance. As long as you can defeat me, the first place in the competition still belongs to you. I will let you know that you are not qualified to refuse. In the world of martial arts, strength is ultimately the most important thing. The reason why Li Yunfan looks down on himself everywhere is because he thinks that he is just a waste in the qi condensation realm. Then, use your strength to tell him that whether it is a magical elixir appraisal or a battle with real swords and guns, he is only worthy of stepping under your feet. Thank you for, the name cannot be too long, for your reward support. Thank you guys, please vote for recommendations. Chapter 93 I hit people, especially in the face. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. What? As soon as Ling Feng said this, everyone was stunned and looked at him dumbfounded. He has obviously won the first place, and even obtained the earth-level skill Xianyuan Jinjue, and now he actually actively asks to fight Li Yunfan, just to fight for a breath. If Ling Feng was strong enough, that would be fine, but he was clearly only at the 10th level of qi condensation, while Li Yunfan had already reached the 3rd level of pulse condensation. The 10th level of qi condensation challenged the 3rd level of pulse condensation and even used the Xianyuan Jinju as a bet. Other than having a broken brain, no one could think of any other explanation. Are you serious? Li Yunfan burst out laughing immediately, clenching his fists tightly and his eyes flashing with excitement. Originally, with Mr. Wengu here, even Elder Li's words could not be used to favor him, but now, this boy actually wants to give up the first place to him. Idiot, there really is no stupider idiot than him in the world. The 10th level of qi condensation may be considered a good level among those third-rate sects, but don't forget, this is the Zhangqiong sect. Even those outer disciples are basically in the late stage of qi condensation. Otherwise, they can only serve as handyman disciples. Boy Ling Feng, don't act out of anger. When Tingguang stared at Ling Feng and said in a deep voice, when it comes to medical skills, Ling Feng naturally has nothing to say. But when it comes to cultivation, when Tingguang had no confidence in Ling Feng at all, after all, he is just a disciple from a small sect like the Wenxian sect. Even if he is asking how talented the Wenxian sect is, this is the Zhangqiong sect. There is no loser among the Divine Protector sect. Even if he was just a handyman disciple, he would be considered to be in the middle or upper reaches of a place like Wenxian sect. Yu Yunlan stared at Ling Feng with her beautiful eyes. In her impression, Ling Feng never told lies. Since he dares to say such things, he must have such strength. Thank you, Senior One, for reminding me. However, I have thought clearly, and it is not just a temporary act of anger. Ling Feng's face remained as usual. Feng Qingyun said calmly, I just suddenly wanted to hit someone. Li Yunfan provoked him again and just swallowed his anger, which was not Ling Feng's style. Ha ha ha, I want to see how you, a rookie in the qi condensation realm, can beat me. Li Yunfan grinned and said, Elder Wengu, I agree with his method. I can still suffer a little loss and let him do 8 out of 10 moves. This. Elderly hesitated a little. He was totally in favor of this method, but in the final analysis, when Tingguang still had the right to speak, when Tingguang felt a little hesitant. Ling Feng really made him love and hate him at the same time. I think that's it, young man, it's better to be a little passionate. Yuan Xianxia, who had been silent next to him, suddenly spoke. Huh. When Tingguang turned his head and glanced at Yuan Xianxia, thinking that if even Ling Feng himself didn't mind handing over Xian Yuan Zhenju to others, he had nothing to say, he immediately calmed down, nodded and said, okay, in that case, let's discuss it and stop talking. Of course it's no problem. Li Yunfan said with a proud look on his face, don't worry, since junior brother Ling Feng is willing to give up his earth-level skills, I will definitely be gentle. In his opinion, there is no suspense in this game. Not only him, but almost 99% of the people did not think highly of Ling Feng. This big idiot. If he loses later, let's see what he will do. Xiao Qiao wrinkled her nose, obviously not understanding what Ling Feng did. I think this is what a man would do. Yu Yunlan said lightly. The spirit is quite impressive, but he is a bit stupid. Does he think this is a small sect like the Qianxian sect? He has not understood the situation at all. That Li Yunfan is a bit stinky, but he is condensed at the 3rd level of Pulse Realm. I don't think Mr. Ling has any chance of winning. I think he can win. Yu Yunlan raised his eyebrows and put a smile on his lips. I do not believe. Oh. Do you dare to bet? Just bet, I'm not afraid of anything. Xiao Qiao puffed up her chest and said with determination, Miss, you will definitely lose this time. Okay, if you lose, I will give you to Mr. Ling as a maid. Do you dare to bet? Yu Yunlan chuckled. This. Xiao Qiao hesitated, bit her lip and said, okay, what will I say if I win? Whatever you want, I'll give you. It's a deal. Xiao Qiao laughed and said, Miss, just wait and give me your most beloved magic weapon. That while the two women were chatting in low voices, everyone had opened a small open space for Ling Feng and Li Yunfan. Boy, if you dare to challenge me, you finally look like a man. I'm in a good mood today. I will definitely save you some face and won't slap you in the face. Li Yunfan looked relaxed. There was no need to be serious when dealing with a trash like Ling Feng. Oh. Really? Ling Feng took a step forward, smiled and said lightly, I hit people, especially in the face. You have to be careful. Humph. A trace of anger flashed in Li Yunfan's eyes, and he rushed forward with a cold snort, do you, a loser like you, want to ride on my head? Li Yunfan's whole body's energy surged, and his right hand turned into a claw, grabbing hard at Ling Feng's chest. This is a martial arts passed down from the Li family, Dragon Claw Kung Fu. It is powerful and a very domineering low-grade Xian-level martial art, among the various martial arts practiced by Ling Feng in the Wenxian sect, except for the wonderful Xiaoyao sword step, they were basically all middle-grade Huang-level and high-grade Huang-level martial arts, far from reaching the level of Xian-level martial arts. However, no matter how powerful a martial skill is, it still depends on who uses it. On the contrary, even ordinary martial arts, as long as they exert their true power, may not be too far behind those high-level martial arts. Ling Feng's eyes flashed, his heavenly eyes opened, and he silently observed Li Yunfan's Dragon Claw skill. This is indeed a very sharp martial skill, but unfortunately, in Li Yunfan's hands, it cannot display its true power at all. He took a light breath, formed his palms into fists, and moved his feet with a free sword step. At the moment when the Dragon Claw technique struck, Ling Feng's figure was as ethereal as clouds and mist, and he avoided the claw without leaving any trace. Breaking through Li Yunfan's defense, he stepped directly in front of him, gathered his true energy in his fist, and punched him hard in the eye socket. Ouch! Li Yunfan screamed in pain and was knocked back several steps. The socket of his left eye was black and blue, like a panda's eye. How can it be? Li Yunfan stared at Ling Feng in disbelief. He clearly felt that Ling Feng seemed to have completely seen through his martial arts skills and even observed his own weaknesses clearly. The eyes of the people around him widened even more. This was too unbelievable. That casual punch knocked Li Yunfan away. It looked like Li Yunfan was letting off steam, however, in this case, how could Li Yunfan give up in order to compete for the Xian Yuan Jinju? Chapter 94. You are not qualified yet. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. This boy is really not simple. Yuan Qianxing narrowed his eyes. When he was in the elixir garden, he saw that Ling Feng almost got into a fight with Wu Pingji, and he didn't panic at all when facing Wu Pingji. He guessed at that time that Ling Feng might have the strength of the pulse condensation realm, and now it seems that it is indeed true. However, even he was curious, how did Ling Feng see through the weakness of Li Yunfan's dragon claw technique at a glance? It is not difficult for masters like him and Wen Tingguang to see through the moves of a small pulse condensing realm warrior, but Ling Feng is only at the qi condensing realm, which is still a big level behind Li Yunfan, and his movement technique seems to be quite extraordinary. A mysterious boy. Yuan Qianxing's lips curved, and he felt that this young man named Ling Feng was quite interesting. What a powerful movement. Wen Tingguang also carefully observed every move of the two people on the field, and was secretly surprised when he saw the carefree sword step performed by Ling Feng, asked when did the immortal sect have such a movement technique? And it seems that there is also a sword technique integrated into it, but he didn't know that this was not the Wenxian sect's technique at all. In fact, this is the secret technique that Ling Feng found from Li Changqing, a disciple of the Luyun sword sect. This residual manual was accidentally discovered by Li Changqing. He didn't know how precious the Xiaoyao sword step was, but he just practiced it hard. It has not been practiced for a long time, but Ling Feng, relying on the ability of the Tiandao, quickly grasped the mystery. It was also relying on the Xiaoyao sword step. Otherwise, even if Ling Feng could see through Li Yunfan's weaknesses, he might not be able to accurately hit the opponent's weaknesses. It's just a fluke. Li Yunfan clenched his fists, but still refused to give up. He grabbed out another claw and struck hard at Ling Feng's neck. Ling Feng stood on the spot, neither dodging nor dodging. Feng Qingyun calmly met Li Yunfan with the same punch, without any fancy, and hit Li Yunfan's other eye. Dang dang dang. Li Yunfan stepped back dozens of steps. At this time, both of his eyes had turned into panda eyes. The surrounding disciples suppressed their laughter, but at the same time they were horrified that Ling Feng's strength was so powerful. Xiao Xiao was dumbfounded, her big bright eyes blinking non-stop. How is that possible? That Li Yunfan, this is too useless, isn't it? Yu Yunlan smiled and said, Xiao Xiao, do you understand now? Geez, how am I going to talk to Mr. Ling and give you to him later? Miss, I'm just joking. Xiao Xiao quickly hugged Yu Yunlan's arm and begged for mercy. Xiao Xiao is so good and obedient, how can you let go of Xiao Xiao? You ghost. Yu Yunlan shook his head and smiled. That's all. I'm afraid that if I give you to young Master Ling will be annoyed to death by you sooner or later. Hee hee. Xiao Xiao breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly patted his chest. A thought suddenly flashed through his mind. If Ling Feng became the new uncle of Xianxia sect in the future, she would have to be Ling Feng's maid in the future. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but giggle again. You girl, I just won't send you away. Are you so happy? Yu Yunlan felt suspicious in her heart. Hee hee, I won't tell you. Xiao Xiao suppressed her smile, pointed at Ling Feng on the field, and said with a smile, keep watching, keep watching. How about it, do you want to come again? In the battle circle, Ling Feng looked indifferent. Li Yunfan's qi cultivation was much stronger than his own, but it was a pity that he couldn't hit him. Even with his powerful strength, he couldn't hurt him at all. How is this possible? What kind of magic did you do? That the expression on Li Yunfan's face was extremely ferocious. Ling Feng's 2 punches hit his eye socket so hard that his head was still buzzing. If one punch is a coincidence, then hitting 2 circles in a row is definitely not a coincidence. Sorcery. Ling Feng smiled coldly. Whatever you think. That while speaking, Ling Feng's figure flashed and flew directly in front of Li Yunfan. He raised his hand and slapped 2 big mouths, which made Li Yunfan dizzy. Li Yunfan had all his strength, but he couldn't catch Ling Feng at all, let alone defeat Ling Feng. The outcome is clear. A group of disciples whispered. They thought it was a one-sided battle, but the result, it was indeed a one-sided battle, but the balance of victory undoubtedly tipped towards Ling Feng. Li Yunfan clenched his fists tightly, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. If Ling Feng had used his martial arts skills in those 2 slaps just now, I'm afraid his life would have been lost. At this moment, Li Yunfan lowered his head, like a defeated rooster, and no longer had the arrogant attitude before. Many times, when others don't care about you, it's not because they are afraid of you, but because they don't even bother to talk to you. Ling Feng stared at Li Yunfan with cold eyes and said in a cold voice, being arrogant requires the capital to be arrogant. Yes, yes. I'm a fool, I'm an idiot, just get rid of me like a fart. Li Yunfan was beaten by Ling Feng so much that he was frightened. He was not a fool. He didn't understand that with Ling Feng's strength, even if he wanted to killing yourself takes just a moment. He was scared, completely scared. Take advantage of me? You don't have the qualifications yet. Ling Feng snorted, not saving any face for Li Yunfan. Pfft. Xiao Qiao couldn't help laughing, and the newly promoted Yaoyuan disciples also turned red, obviously suppressing their laughter. If you are not qualified to be a jerk, then Li Yunfan is too miserable. There were many people who were secretly glad. Most of them were a little unconvinced by Ling Feng's appearance. Fortunately, Li Yunfan was the one who stood out. Now being treated by Ling Feng, he is so docile that he doesn't even dare to let out a fart. Ignoring Li Yunfan anymore, Ling Feng stood with his hands behind his back, snorted coldly, looked back at Wen Tingguang and others, and said calmly, the result should be obvious by now, right? Elderly sighed softly, stood up slowly, and announced, Ling Feng won first place in the medicine garden picking competition. According to the rules of the elixir garden over the years, in addition to the elixir he picked, he also owns it. A ground-level skill, Xianyuan Jinjue will be rewarded. Boy Ling Feng, congratulations. Wen Tingguang laughed brightly. He didn't expect that a small sect like Ling Feng Wenxian sect could have such strength. You're pretty good, kid. Yuan Xianxia also nodded and smiled at Ling Feng. Perhaps Ling Feng's words "so what about the handyman?" brought back some memories of the past in Yuan Xianxia's mind, so his attitude towards Ling Feng was also very different from ordinary people. Oh my god, Master Yuan can actually laugh. Be careful, if Master Yuan hears it, you will be finished. That the disciples of the medicine garden began to whisper among themselves, and they all secretly envied Ling Feng. It doesn't matter that Mr. Wengu is protecting him, and the eldest lady is also protecting him. Now even Master Yuan Xianxia, who is known as the cold-faced ape in the elixir garden, actually looks at Ling Feng differently. This makes people somewhat confused. Master Ling, congratulations. Yu Yunlan moved lightly and walked to Ling Feng, smiling slightly. I should be the one to thank Miss Yu and Mr. Wengu. Ling Feng quickly bowed his hand to Yu Yunlan. Ling Feng knew that he was not a disciple of the Zhangqiong sect. In fact, according to the rules, he was not qualified to participate in the medicine garden picking competition. Of course part of this was that elderly did not dare to refute Wen Tingguang's face, but more importantly, it was the tacit approval of the eldest lady Yu Yunlan. Don't tell me that there are some. Wen Tingguang stood up from his seat, looked at elderly, and said with a smile, Elderly, it's getting late, hurry up and take out the secret book. Yes, yes, the secret book of Xianyuan Jinjue is stored in Yunling Palace. Little friend Ling Feng, please come with me. After elderly saw Yu Yunlan's attitude towards Ling Feng, he didn't dare to show any slightness. He immediately smiled and led everyone towards a hall next to the spiritual medicine garden. Chapter 95 Ancient Elixir. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yunling Hall is divided into two parts. The left half is a warehouse for storing various medicinal materials, and the right half is a place for processing medicinal materials and refining elixirs. Elderly asked everyone to wait in the main hall for a while, and soon walked out carrying an exquisite wooden box. This is the transcript of Xian Yuan Jinju. Every year in our spiritual medicine garden, we can receive a copy from the Sutra Pavilion and reward it to the best among the new disciples. Elderly couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It was just a copy, but this year's copy was given to Ling Feng. Ling Feng put away the wooden box and suddenly smelled the strong scent of elixir in the hall. Thinking of the purple spirit crystal he had collected, his heart suddenly moved. Elderly, is there a special alchemy room here? As soon as Ling Feng said this, everyone couldn't help but look at him, especially Yuan Qianxing, who was even more surprised and said, "Boy, do you know how to make elixirs?" "I know a little bit." Ling Feng nodded slightly and added, "Although the purple spirit crystal that I just got has been collected, no matter how well it is stored, it can only be stored for 3 days, so I want to use the purple spirit crystal. I want to use spiritual crystals to refine an ancient elixir. I wonder if Elderly and Master Yuan can make it easier." Ancient elixir, but when they heard these 4 words, everyone's eyelids jumped, and Elderly swallowed hard. You have an ancient elixir recipe. Ling Feng nodded slightly. Junior happens to know that there is an ancient elixir that requires the use of purple spirit crystal, so I don't want to waste it. This is the elixir garden of the Xianxia sect, with all kinds of elixirs available. If you leave this place, it will be very difficult for you to collect those elixirs, and the most critical problem is that you are short of money. The ancient elixir recipe that can use the purple spirit crystal must be at least a 4th level, or even a 5th level elixir. Elderly couldn't help but rub his hands excitedly. The matter of Li Yunfan being slightly insulted at Ling Feng's hands had long been forgotten. It is indeed a 5th level ancient elixir. Ling Feng nodded. If Elderly is willing to prepare the materials needed for alchemy for me, this junior can give me this ancient elixir as a gift. You're still hesitating. Elderly hadn't spoken yet, but Yuan Qianxing couldn't help it, and immediately nodded. "Boy, I agreed. 1 piece of material will be exchanged for an ancient elixir recipe, and I will make a fortune." "Hey, do you know what first come, first serve means?" "Do I disagree? Besides, this little friend Ling Feng is clearly asking me if I'm okay." Elderly immediately pushed Yuan Qianxing away and said with disdain, "Besides, you are only a 3rd-level alchemist. Can you refine this kind of elixir?" "Of course, I, a 5th-level alchemist, will do it. It's ridiculous. There's such a big elixir garden, and you're not the only 5th-level alchemist. Boy, don't pay attention to him. Give me the elixir recipe. I'll find someone to make the elixir for you." Yuan Qianxing immediately showed his tough side. Although his level of alchemy is not very good, he is a very capable alien among alchemists. When he goes out to collect some rare species on weekdays, he will basically encounter the guardian demon. Beast. At this time, Yuan Qianxing's value was reflected, therefore, basically all the alchemists in the elixir garden have a good relationship with him. Even if they don't have any friendship, they are not willing to offend such a fierce person like him. "Yuan Qianxing, you've gone too far." Elderly was so angry that he was shaking all over. However, the combat effectiveness of a normal alchemist was very worrying, so he was obviously very angry, but he did not dare to get angry at Yuan Qianxing. Okay, you are also the elders of the spiritual medicine garden after all. Is it necessary to argue like this?" Wen Tingguang couldn't stand it any longer. He looked at Ling Feng and said in a deep voice, "Ling Feng, small words, you come on, who should you ask to help you refine it?" Ling Feng touched the bridge of his nose. "Well, I myself, I think I can refine it myself." "What?" This time, everyone's eyes were fixed on Ling Feng. Even Yu Yunlan and Xiao Qiao, who knew nothing about alchemy, were stunned. even if it's just a 4th level ancient alchemy recipe. How old is Ling Feng that he already has the alchemy skills of a 4th level alchemist? You know, although Yuan Xianxing's martial arts level is much higher than that of alchemy, this does not mean that he does not have the talent for alchemy. On the contrary, his alchemy talent is quite good, otherwise he would not be called Master Yuan. A 3rd level alchemist can already be regarded as a highly respected alchemy master. It's just because this is the Xianxiong sect that a 3rd level demon refining master is not so rare. Boy, are you kidding? Little friend Ling Feng, making alchemy is not a child's play, otherwise it will be a waste of medicinal materials. Yuan Xianxing and elderly rarely have the same tone this time. After all, no matter how much the money burns, and the money burns uncomfortably, it is impossible to take out a 4th level or 5th level elixir material and play with it. Don't worry, I'm still a little sure that I can make it. Ling Feng smiled faintly. Junior, I will give the elixir to the 2 seniors in the name of giving it to the elixir garden, so that the seniors don't have to argue. You're a good boy. Wen Tingguang narrowed his eyes and smiled, but boy, you have to think clearly. Can you really refine ancient elixirs? How will you know if you don't try? Ling Feng's lips curled up. Although his alchemy level was not as good as medical skills, he believed that his method of handling elixirs was already perfect, and he could easily refine 5th level ancient elixirs. Junior Danfang has already remembered it in his mind. If the 2 seniors agree, I can write it down silently now. I have no problem. Yuan Xianxing nodded. It's okay for me. Elderly was much more obsessed with alchemy than Yuan Xianxing, and he rubbed his hands excitedly. Then thank you 2 seniors for making it happen. Ling Feng nodded, and elderly immediately took Ling Feng to the study room and prepared pens, ink, paper and inkstones for him. This boy, Wen Tingguang couldn't help but shook his head and smiled bitterly. What kind of little monster did he bring back? His medical skills could kill those descendants of Taoist medical families in an instant, and his combat power was also quite incredible. Is it possible that even alchemy can be said to be at the master level now? It turns out that he really knows how to make elixirs. Yu Yunlan watched Ling Feng write down the elixir prescriptions with great concentration, and was secretly surprised. When they were in the elixir garden just now, she said to Xiao, how do you know that he can't make elixirs? And the result became a motto. Ling Feng actually knew how to make elixirs. Thinking of this, Yu Yunlan couldn't help but turn around and look at Xiao. Xiao stuck out her tongue playfully and lowered her voice. Miss, even if he refines the elixir this time, I believe it. Curing the sect leader's strange disease and easily defeating Li Yunfan, Ling Feng has done too many things that she originally thought were impossible. Now, no matter what shocking actions Ling Feng performs, she will no longer find it strange. After a while, Ling Feng picked up 2 pieces of silk paper filled with words from the desk and handed them into the hands of Yuan Xianxing and elderly respectively. Senior, these are 2 different recipes. I hope the 2 seniors can each prepare a piece of material. Yun Shendan. Elderly opened the paper, looked at it, and nodded. It is indeed an ancient elixir. TSK, it turns out that this kind of auxiliary medicine is needed to neutralize the medicinal properties. It's not bad, I'm really eye-opening. Sha Yuan pill. Yuan Xianxing looked at the pill recipe in his hand and was secretly surprised. The name of this pill didn't sound like it was a good thing, and it didn't seem to require the use of purple spirit crystal. The more he saw that the materials listed above were extremely poisonous weeds and poisonous insects, the more frightened he became. Is this also a pill? I'm afraid this is poison that can harm people. Chapter 96, Alchemy or Furnace Explosion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What kind of pill is this? Yuan Xianxing stared at Ling Feng with a suspicious look on his face. This is a medicinal elixir for seniors to heal their injuries. Ling Feng smiled faintly. Although I didn't directly check senior's pulse, I can see that the expression on your face, senior, is very stiff, so you look cold at all times. According to junior's diagnosis, this is not the case. It's not because of his personality, but because when he was young, he accidentally ate something with a cold evil spirit, so although his physique was changed, his cultivation progress became faster. Ling Feng paused and continued, however, this also left some cold evil energy in the senior's body, making him suffer from the evil energy's backlash, right? This. Yuan Xianxia looked at Ling Feng in disbelief, his eyelids twitching wildly. How do you know? Doctors, look, hear, ask, and feel. Ling Feng said lightly, the reason why seniors have been unable to improve their alchemy attainments is not because of lack of talent, but because of the existence of those evil spirits, which gave the true energy in seniors' bodies a hint of yin. It's cold, so it's easy to lose control when activating the pill fire, am I right? Exactly. Yuan Xianxing's heart could no longer be described as surprised. It was as if a stormy sea had set off. So little friend Ling Feng is a child of a Taoist medical family? Elderly on the side looked at Ling Feng in disbelief. He vaguely knew something about Yuan Xianxing's hidden illness, but Yuan Xianxing didn't take it to heart, so as outsiders, they naturally wouldn't interfere. A family of Taoist doctors. Ling Feng curled his lips, no, I'm just an ordinary doctor. He. Wen Tingguang squinted his eyes and smiled. Ling Feng was indeed not from a Taoist medical family, but he was much older than the Taoist medical family. Heir of the medical saint. However, Ling Feng didn't tell him, so he certainly wouldn't reveal it. This evil spirit pill is used to cleanse the cold evil spirit from the body of senior. If senior can trust me. Of course I can trust you. Yuan Xianxing said without thinking, you are indeed 100 times smarter than those quack doctors. Thank you, Ling Feng. Yuan Xianxing knew his situation, and it was not like he had never seen a Taoist doctor before. It's a pity that the descendants of those Taoist medical families are very arrogant. If a young elder from the Xianxiong sect with no background like him catches a lot of them, they will not treat him easily. As for the imperial doctor of the kingdom of God, his eyes are higher than his head. Those other so-called miracle doctors are basically charlatans, so over and over again, Yuan Xianxing simply gave up the treatment and continued to endure it, even at the expense of his true energy to resist the evil spirit. When he was young, he relied on the spiritual things from that day to make rapid progress. Unfortunately, he swallowed them without treatment, which resulted in such hidden dangers. Speaking of which, he didn't know whether it was a blessing or a curse. You are welcome. Ling Feng nodded slightly. There were some people who he wouldn't even bother to treat even if they gave him a golden mountain. There were some people who he was willing to do his best to treat even if he didn't get a penny. Although Yuan Xianxing has a weird temper, Ling Feng can tell that he is a good person. Okay, let's prepare the medicinal materials now. Yuan Xianxing and Elderly looked at each other and went to the warehouse to collect various medicinal materials themselves. After a while, the two of them returned with a tray each, and took Ling Feng to the alchemy room where Elderly usually made alchemy, ready to start making alchemy. Boy Ling Feng, I've seen your medical and martial arts skills before, but I don't know if your alchemy skills are also so incredible. Wen Ting said with bright eyebrows. Senior will know in a moment. Ling Feng smiled faintly and asked Elderly to put the materials for the Shen Yun Dan on the table next to the alchemy furnace. He said calmly, now I am going to start refining the elixir. My true energy, my cultivation is insufficient and I cannot continue to activate the furnace fire. Can Elderly control the fire for me? As I said, that while speaking, Ling Feng had already begun to count the materials one by one and took out the purple spirit crystal. The most important thing in refining this divine elixir is the purple spirit crystal. Of course, no problem. Elderly nodded. He was also very curious. At Ling Feng's age, could he really refine ancient elixirs like Yun Shendan? Even if he has great medical skills, the most he can do is refine some medicinal pills, but spiritual pills and medicinal pills are two completely different things. Yeah. Ling Feng made a spot and let Elderly stand aside to control the fire. He grabbed some demon pills that he had prepared in advance and threw them directly into the pill furnace. Wait a moment. Elderly quickly took Ling Feng into his mouth. Little friend Ling Feng, what are you doing? Ling Feng had a look of astonishment on his face, put a few demon pills in his hand in front of him, and said in surprise, I threw the demon pills in to make the elixir. Little friend Ling Feng, don't you need to process the alchemy materials? The demon essence in these demon elixirs should be heated separately and slowly over a slow fire to drive out impurities, right? Elderly reminded. Is this what you're talking about? Ling Feng smiled lightly. I've already dealt with it just now. Has been dealt with? Elderly's eyelids twitched wildly, and he looked back at Wen Tingguang, Yuan Xianxia and others. Everyone shook their heads. No one saw what Ling Feng did just now. He simply touched those demon pills. Is that the so-called processing? Let me take a look. Elderly was a little suspicious and took a demon pill from Ling Feng's hand. Then he was extremely surprised to find that the impurities in the demon pill were indeed clean. He placed it under the light source and carefully looked. The demon essence inside is clear and transparent. Even if you deal with it yourself, that's all, but how did Ling Feng do it? What terrible hand speed and terrible eyesight this requires. A young man who is less than 20 years old, can defeat the pulse condensing realm at the qi condensing realm, has excellent medical skills, and is actually a master of alchemy. Looking at Ling Feng's unusually handsome face, Elderly suddenly had the urge to strangle him to death. How could God be so unfair and create such a perfect person? It turns out that little friend Ling Feng has his own way of dealing with it. I am making a fuss. Little friend, please continue. Although Elderly was a little unconvinced, the facts were before his eyes. The demon pill that Ling Feng processed in 3 seconds was much better than the demon pill that I spent several hours processing. Needs to be cleaned and clarified. After a while, Ling Feng threw all the materials into the alchemy furnace at once. There was no order at all. It didn't look like he was refining alchemy. It looked like a random stew. With the previous lesson in mind, Elderly did not interrupt Ling Feng this time, but said silently in his heart, "Humph, if you can successfully refine an elixir like you are really a ghost." Full of suspicion, Elderly began to control the temperature of the alchemy furnace and gradually increased it after being prompted by Ling Feng. Elderly, please continue to increase the temperature of the alchemy furnace first. After it reaches 300 degrees, just maintain the temperature and do not lower it. Ling Feng said lightly. Elderly remained silent, but shook his head secretly in his heart. It's over, this furnace of elixirs is destroyed. But fortunately, I have the elixir recipe, and I can just refine it myself in the future. Such an alchemy method is really unheard of. Yuan Xianxia couldn't help but rub his eyes. How could he be so careless in refining alchemy? All he got out of the alchemy was dregs, right? Although Wen Tingguang and Yu Yunlan had no experience in alchemy, they still couldn't help but frown when they saw Ling Feng's technique. The most important thing in refining alchemy is to control the temperature. Only by slowly alternating between gentle and strong fire can the medicinal properties be fully exerted, but Ling Feng actually let Elderly keep the temperature high. This was a mistake that even the most outsider could not make. However, as time went by, the materials in the alchemy furnace gradually melted and turned into a group of crystal liquid, with a delicate fragrance overflowing. Although the stove lid has not yet been opened, the pleasant aroma is already making people feel relaxed and happy. How is it possible? Yuan Xianxia and Elderly sniffed the wisps of medicinal aroma, and were secretly surprised. Why was the aroma even purer when it was finally smelted using such a rough technique? What a weird thing. Okay, the next step is the most critical step. Elderly, be sure to listen to my commands and don't hesitate at all. Ling Feng said. Understood. Elderly pricked up his ears and waited quietly for Ling Feng's command. Cool the temperature, down to 100 degrees. Elderly immediately followed the instructions, and the temperature quickly dropped to more than 200 degrees. After 30 breaths, Ling Feng said again, raise the temperature, 100 degrees sharply, it must be sharp. Surge. Although Elderly was confused, he still nodded and followed suit, frantically stimulating the true energy in his body. The alchemy fire suddenly soared, and the temperature of the alchemy furnace skyrocketed. After less than 30 breaths, Ling Feng said again, cool the temperature, lower it by 50 degrees. Heat up. Cool down. Heat up. Ling Feng kept asking Elderly to control the rise and fall of the temperature of the alchemy furnace. Sometimes it would rise suddenly, sometimes it would fall suddenly. When it was exaggerated, it would soar to more than 500 degrees. Elderly was completely confused by Ling Feng. How could he be refining an elixir? This is a different way to blow up your own pill furnace. He secretly felt sorry for his alchemy furnace. Wouldn't doing this shorten the life of his treasured elixir furnace? In less than half an hour, Ling Feng asked Elderly to change the temperature 99 and 81 times. What made Elderly a little relieved was that his alchemy furnace finally held on strong and did not explode. However, even if he didn't look at it, he would definitely know that there was no elixir left in the alchemy furnace. Even an elixir could not withstand such torture. There would probably be only the dregs left in the alchemy furnace. Nonsense, it's just nonsense. Elderly shook his head and sighed. This amount of materials for the Shen Yun Dan is enough to buy 3 or 4 pieces of treasure-level armor. Moreover, what was most unacceptable to Elderly was that during the whole process, Ling Feng seemed extremely absent-minded. While giving orders to himself, he was also processing another piece of material for the Sha Yuan Dan, giving the impression that he was just talking casually. If the elixir can be refined in this way, Elderly will be named Ling Feng from now on. Chapter 97 Can this thing be eaten? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Miss, is this also called alchemy? Xiao suddenly felt that she had overestimated Ling Feng before. His medical skills were indeed very powerful and his martial arts talent was not bad, but alchemy, is this also called alchemy? Yu Yunlan choked and remained silent for a long time. Although she also wanted to say a few words for Ling Feng, no matter from which point of view, even from the perspective of a layman like her who didn't understand alchemy at all, what kind of good elixir could be produced with this rough method? As for Yuan Xianxia and Wen Tingguang, they both remained silent. Ling Feng doesn't look like the kind of person who overestimates his abilities, but judging from this operation, if he knew how to make alchemy, Wen Tingguang felt that he could be regarded as a master of alchemy. Another half-quarter of an hour passed. Ling Feng finally put down the medicinal materials in his hand and said calmly, "Okay, Elderly. You can start the furnace to collect the pills." Collect the elixir. Elderly curled his lips. Is it necessary to open the furnace? What other pills can I get from this? However, he did not say much, but followed Ling Feng's instructions, stimulating the true energy in his body and slowly opened the alchemy furnace. No matter every step, he followed Ling Feng's instructions, so even if the elixir was destroyed, it had nothing to do with him. He wanted to see if the expression on Ling Feng's face could still be as calm as it was at that moment when he discovered that the extremely fast coke was produced in the alchemy furnace. However, the moment the alchemy furnace was opened, a soaring fragrance of elixir came to his nostrils and sprayed directly all over Elderly's face, making him unable to help but take a few more sniffs. How is it possible? Why is there still alchemy incense? Shouldn't there be only coke left in the alchemy furnace? Impossible, this is absolutely impossible. Elderly stuck his head out in disbelief and looked into the alchemy furnace. His eyes almost fell in. Refined. How could it be achieved? That at the bottom of the alchemy furnace, 2 pills, one large and one small, were lying quietly, exuding an extremely strong aroma of pills. With Elderly's eyesight, it was not difficult to see that the 2 pills inside were the aroma and color are definitely of the highest quality. What, it's finished? Yuan Xianxia, Wen Tingguang and Yu Yunlan were all stunned. Yu Yunlan and Xiao looked at each other, looking at Ling Feng as if they were looking at a monster. This was too contrary to common sense. Yuan Xianxia even rushed forward. When he saw the elixirs in the alchemy furnace, he stood beside the alchemy furnace dumbfounded like Elderly, as if he had seen some miracle. Even to their death, they couldn't figure out that Ling Feng's method of refining elixirs could actually produce elixirs, and it seemed that 1.5 Shenyan elixirs could be refined using only one part of the material. Don't underestimate the half of the elixir. Only a few masters of alchemy can make perfect use of the medicinal properties of the medicinal materials to refine additional elixirs. When the 2 of them were stunned, Ling Feng had already put away the 2 pills, one large and one small, and threw them all into his nailing ring. According to the agreement, these 2 pills undoubtedly belonged to him and would be of great benefit to him, so he did not intend to share them. I gave the elixir recipe to Elder Li and the others, believing that, with their level, it would not be too difficult to refine the Xianxia elixir. Next, refine the second elixir. Ling Feng collected his mind and said slowly, Elder Li, you should still help me control the fire. I have already dealt with all the poisonous weeds just now. In this way, we can refine the elixir. What is produced is not a poisonous elixir, but a medicinal elixir. As Ling Feng spoke, he began to throw the highly toxic pills into the pill furnace one by one. Elder Li and Yuan Xianxia were horrified to see this broken intestine grass. 100-step zombie. Human-faced spider venom sac. Every material in this is extremely poisonous enough to be fatal. Can the elixir refined by just handling it like this really heal Yuan Xianxia's injuries? However, because of Ling Feng's shocking performance just now, Elder Li didn't say anything nonsense. He just carefully observed Ling Feng's techniques and found that when he threw the materials into the alchemy furnace, he seemed to be throwing them randomly, but in fact he seemed to be throwing them randomly. Use your fingertips to gently touch and press the materials a few times. This time, Elder Li did not dare to look down on Ling Feng anymore. He followed Ling Feng's instructions seriously. After about 3 cups of tea, Ling Feng nodded and said, Okay, we can turn on the stove. Yes. Elder Li had a trace of expectation, wondering what kind of surprise Ling Feng would give him this time. As soon as the alchemy furnace was opened, Elder Li frowned. Puff, it stinks, that a strong stench wafted out of the alchemy furnace. Inside the alchemy furnace, an irregular pill that looked like a piece of boogers lay alone inside. The surface of the pill was bumpy and green, making it look like poison rather than elixir. Ahem. Little friend Ling Feng, this furnace of elixirs should be considered useless, right? Elder Li looked back at Ling Feng and said with a smile, Yuan Xianxia also believed that he would definitely not be able to take this kind of pill. No, the heat is just right. Ling Feng shook his head, took out the green thing, handed it to Yuan Xianxia, and said calmly, Master Yuan, this is the evil spirit pill I refined for you. It can drive away, get rid of the cold evil spirit in your body. This. Yuan Xianxia took the elixir, his palms trembling a little, and he even had the urge to slap Ling Feng twice. Is this thing for people to eat? Seeing that Yuan Xianxia just took the elixir but did not dare to swallow it, Ling Feng shrugged slightly and said calmly, Master Yuan, please rest assured that as long as you take this elixir, the disease will be cured. Ha, thank you, thank you. The corner of Yuan Xianxia's mouth twitched. He had to be able to eat it himself. It's smelly, ugly, and it's made from extremely poisonous stuff. If you eat it yourself, you might not be cured of your illness, but you'll get an intestinal rupture immediately. Seeing the disbelieving expression on Yuan Xianxia's face, Ling Feng sighed. People in the world often only look at the appearance, but don't know the essence. Master Yuan, I have finished refining the elixir. As for taking it or not, it's up to you. Think about it. It's getting late, so I'll take my leave now. Ling Feng, I don't mean not to believe you. It's really, I need some mental preparation. Yuan Xianxia couldn't laugh or cry for a while. The smell was quite unpleasant, but the key is his appearance. After all, I am a 3rd-level alchemist, how can I take such a weird pill? I understand. Ling Feng nodded slightly, then I will say goodbye. Wen Tingguang curled his lips. It was none of his business anyway. When he saw Ling Feng leaving, he also smiled and said, in that case, I'll leave too. Ling Feng, I'll take you back to where you live. Yu Yunlan and Xiaoqiao looked at each other and left with Ling Feng. Congratulations to Mr. Wengu, and congratulations to the eldest lady. Yuan and Li escorted Ling Feng and others out of the hall. Looking at their retreating figures, Yuan Xianxia took out the pitted pill and couldn't help but sigh, is this thing really edible? Chapter 98 Who is the Master? You are listening at MaleProtagonist. Elder Li, you are a 5th-level alchemist. Can you help me see if this is really a medicinal pill that can be used to cure diseases? Yuan Xianxia held the pill and looked at it again and again. No matter what, he couldn't take it. It's better not to show it to me. That little friend Ling Feng's alchemy skills are completely beyond my understanding. I can't understand the pills he refined. Elderly secretly chuckled in his heart, but I guess it's effective, you should try it first. Why don't you try it? Yuan Xianxia glared at Elderly and frowned deeply. Just the stench coming from that pill made him want to throw the pill directly into the smelly ditch. After hesitating for a while, Yuan Xianxia turned around and walked into Yunling Hall, walked all the way to the 5th floor, and walked into an alchemy room in the deepest part of the 5th floor. President Yun, are you free now? Yuan Xianxia walked to the door of the alchemy room and bowed respectfully inside. He was even more respectful than when he faced Wen Tingguang. It's Qian Sheng. In the alchemy room, there was an old man with white beard and hair, but fair hair and a rosy face. He was concentrating on studying some ancient books. Hearing Yuan Xianxia's voice, he nodded slightly and said, "Come in, I'm not busy right now." This white-haired old man is the chief alchemist of the Xianxia sect and one of the honorary vice-presidents of the Imperial Alchemist Guild. His name is Yun Danqing. This person is a 6th-level alchemist. Even if you look at the entire Tianbai Empire, he is also the leading alchemist. It is said that the imperial royal family had offered generous offers of money many times, but was rejected by Yun Danqing all the time. He concentrated on researching all kinds of strange elixirs in the Xianxia sect. However, he is an important figure with a decisive position in the world of alchemists in the Tianbai Empire. With just a word or a stamp of his feet, he can set off a turmoil in the world of alchemists. Yuan Xianxia could not achieve his current level of alchemy knowledge without some guidance from Yun Danqing. The two of them are both teachers and friends. President Yun, I came here today because I have something to ask for. Otherwise, I would not dare to disturb your research. Yuan Xianxia looked respectful. Speaking of which, in the past, Yun Danqing had always refined some cold evil energy for him. The elixir relieved his condition, therefore, Yuan Xianxia has special respect for Yun Danqing. Oh. Yun Danqing finally raised his head, looked at Yuan Xianxia, and then sighed, is the cold evil in your body guilty again? Hey, I am only an alchemist after all. If you want to be cured, let's go find those imperial doctors from the kingdom of God. Humph, those imperial doctors of the kingdom of God are all looking at people with doggy eyes. How many of them can have real information? A trace of hatred flashed in Yuan Xianxing's eyes. I said, even if you die of illness, you won't die. Go seek help from those so-called Taoist doctors. He clenched his fists, took a deep breath, and said slowly, I came today not to ask for a pill to suppress the evil spirit, but I got a pill that can expel the cold evil spirit from my body. So I want to ask you to identify it for me. Oh. Yun Danqing's eyes lit up. The cold evil energy in your body is extraordinary. It has been integrated into your internal organs and even your blood and bone marrow. It is extremely difficult to eradicate it completely. However, there are people who can practice it. To make such an elixir. I want to take a closer look and see who can make such an elixir. Yun Danqing was secretly surprised. Although he was not a Taoist doctor, as a master of alchemy, his medical skills were 100 times better than those of ordinary doctors. And the other party could actually refine the elixir to expel the evil spirit in Yuan Xianxing's body. Could it be that the other party's alchemy was the reason? His skills are higher than his own. He must be a senior with an immortal spirit. Where is the master? The corner of Yuan Xianxing's mouth twitched slightly, remembering that Ling Feng was just a teenager, and he was really embarrassed to say it. It's okay not to mention it. Please check the properties of this elixir for me first. I don't think it's right no matter what. As he said that, Yuan Xianxing took out a porcelain bottle from his arms. As soon as he opened the cork, a stench immediately hit his nose. Come, Yun Danqing immediately frowned, are you a pill or a dog? Halfway through, Yun Danqing held back again. Most of the elixirs should indeed be fragrant, but there are exceptions to everything. There are also some stinky elixirs. Then, I saw Yuan Xianxia taking out the elixir. I saw that the surface of the elixir was full of bumps and bumps. It was not full, and it was still completely irregular in shape, just like a lump of boogers. Yun Danqing hesitated for a moment, took the elixir and took a look at it. He immediately shook his head and sneered, "Xianxia, you are afraid that you have been tricked. Is this called an elixir? Even the most basic shape of the elixir cannot be condensed. As a third-level alchemist, you shouldn't be able to see such a clumsy alchemy technique, right?" "Ah." Yuan Xianxia was stunned and said with some hesitation, "But that person did refine a high-quality elixir, and it was an ancient elixir. Logically speaking, it should not." "Huh. Wait a minute." Yun Danqing suddenly interrupted Yuan Xianxia, looked at the elixir in his hand, and hesitated slightly. "Wait a minute, I'll check some information." "Check the information?" Yuan Xianxia looked at Yun Danqing in confusion. It can be said that Yun Danqing is the most powerful alchemy technique he has ever seen. Few people in the entire Tianbai Empire can surpass it. Is it possible that even he is not sure about the effectiveness of this elixir? Medicinal properties? Yun Danqing walked to the nearby row of bookshelves, rummaged through the boxes and began to search, saying to himself, "Well, I have seen a very special alchemy method. It seems that there have been some similar records. The elixir is not, it must be round. The pores on this irregular elixir become pitted because of the neutralization of various toxins. Wait a minute, I'll look carefully." Yuan Xianxia was stunned, pinched the pill in his hand, and said in astonishment, "No way, that kid's alchemy skills are better than the president." Finally, Yun Danqing dug out a yellowed ancient book in the corner of the cabinet, and started flipping through it excitedly. Then he laughed and said, "Sure enough, it is this kind of alchemy method. Ha ha ha, Xianxia, the alchemist made it. Yes, it should be some medicinal pills mixed with highly toxic materials, right? Yes, it is indeed mixed with many kinds of highly toxic materials." Yuan Xianxia nodded. "That's right." Yun Danqing nodded. "The pill in your hand is called Sha Yuan Dan, right? Why didn't I think of this method to transform Sha Yuan Dan? Huh, with this pill, the cold and evil energy in the body is nothing to worry about." "Really?" Yuan Xianxia blinked at the elixir in his hand and looked up at Yun Danqing. "Well, I'm 100% sure." Yun Danqing nodded. "You are in luck this time. Otherwise, if you don't eradicate the root cause of your disease, you will have no hope of getting to the next level in this life." Hearing Yun Danqing's affirmation, Yuan Xianxia didn't hesitate anymore and immediately swallowed the elixir with a gulu sound. The elixir went down his throat, and a warm breath spread from his abdomen. There was no stench, but there was still a hint of qin. Rich aroma. Fantastic pill. Wonderful pill. Yuan Xianxia had never thought that there was such a magical alchemy technique in this world. There are people outside the world, and there is a God outside the world. Yun Danqing showed a hint of admiration on his face. "Xianxia, where is the master? Can I go and pay him a visit?" "Greetings." Yuan Xianxia was frightened by Yun Danqing's respectful expression. "President, what do you mean? Don't you understand? Anyone who can refine this kind of elixir is at least the level of a 6th-level alchemist, and he is definitely better than me. Shouldn't we pay a visit to such a senior master?" "Senior? Master?" Yuan Xianxing's jaw almost dropped to the ground. Young boy of 17 or 18 years old actually turned into what Yun Danqing calls a senior. "Thank you, Cat Controller, for your reward support. Thank you for those of you who are reading, please save it on your bookshelf and cast a few recommendation votes. Thank you very much." Chapter 99 The 18-Year-Old Master. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yes, this senior's alchemy skills are absolutely terrifying. As the saying goes, there is a world outside the world, and there are people outside the world. The Tianbai Empire is only a corner of this world, and the areas we have not touched are still quite vast. Yun Danqing looked at Yuan Xianxia with some excitement and asked again, Xianxia, tell me quickly, how do you know that senior? Yuan Xianxia swallowed, President Yun, that's really not a senior. Presumptuous. Don't be disrespectful to your seniors. Yun Danqing frowned. This person has always had a very weird temper, and he is very obsessed with alchemy, even to the point of becoming obsessed. Yes. Yuan Xianxia didn't dare to talk back, but if Yun Danqing knew Ling Feng's age, he would probably be like him. I can't believe it, 17 or 18 years old, senior. A look of incomparable admiration appeared on Yun Danqing's face, and he was full of words of praise. Xianxia, you probably don't know yet. According to the records in this ancient book, Sha Yuan Dan is a 5th level top-grade elixir. But if you want to, it still takes a long process to clear the cold evil energy from your body, but the master actually cleverly used a special alchemy method to not only strengthen the medicinal properties, but also condense the elixir into this form. Do you know how difficult this is? Yuan Xianxia was confused and said quickly, President, please tell me. As far as I know, there was once a 7th level alchemy master who also tried to improve this evil spirit pill, but he only refined the powder in the form of powder, and the master who refined your pill, but you made a pill. Now you understand the master's level. What's going on? This. Yuan Xianxia was completely shocked, looking at Yun Danqing in disbelief. Golu swallowed, President, is it really as amazing as you said? It will only be more amazing than what I said. Yun Danqing stared at Yuan Xianxia and said word by word, based on my experience, if the senior's fire control skills were not somewhat lacking, this pill should be it is in the shape of a plump pill with no flaws, and the pores on it are evenly distributed, rather than having this pitted appearance. Suddenly, Yuan Xianxing's whole body was filled with excitement. The steps of controlling fire seemed to be completed by Elderly. Elderly is a 5th level alchemist after all, but in the end he became the weakest link. Is Ling Feng's alchemy technique so terrifying? Thinking of this, Yuan Xianxia was completely stunned. Ling Feng's figure became more and more glorious and noble in his mind. Who is that kid? Hey! Yun Danqing saw Yuan Xianxia stunned on the spot, and waved his hand in front of his eyes. Xianxia, you haven't told me who the master is? Can you introduce him to me? Yun Danqing said and couldn't help but rub his hands excitedly. If that master is willing to give me some advice, maybe my alchemy skills can be improved to a higher level. This. Yuan Xianxia shook his head and smiled bitterly. I only know that this person is called Ling Feng, and he is a young man brought by Mr. Wengu. I don't know the rest. Young man. Yun Danqing's jaw almost dropped. Are you sure you are a young man? No more than 20 years old at most. Yuan Xianxia looked determined. What a hero. Yun Danqing looked depressed, as if he had received a huge blow. Come to think of it, after studying alchemy for a lifetime, it's really strange to find that you lost to a teenage boy and didn't get hit. I'll go find Mr. Wengu another day. I must get to know this talented young man. That after Yun Danqing finished speaking, he seemed to have aged more than 10 years. He was really shocked. Then President, I will take my leave now. Yuan Xianxia bowed his hand to Yun Danqing. At this moment, he also felt that the medicinal properties of the evil spirit pill were beginning to come into play. His whole body felt warm and he had not felt so comfortable for a long time. It was already dusk when Ling Feng returned to the courtyard where he lived. I'm telling you, boy Ling Feng, the last elixir you refined must have been spent, right? There are no outsiders here, so there's no need to keep pretending. When Tingguang came to Ling Feng's side, he smiled. How can you treat diseases and save people by lying just because of your own reputation? The truth is the truth. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that pill. Ling Feng said calmly. You boy, you are so tight. When Tingguang thought for a long time before he found such an adjective to describe Ling Feng. It's perfect. Xiao was convinced by Ling Feng this time, and it was rare for him to use a word full of praise to describe Ling Feng. Miss Xiao, that's an award. Ling Feng shook his head and smiled, then said, I have to thank Miss Yu and Senior Wen again, otherwise I would never have the chance to obtain this Xian Yuan Jinju. There's no need for us brothers to say thank you, haha. Wen Tingguang grinned, and Xiao couldn't help but roll her eyes at Wen Tingguang. This guy is really used to pretending to be young. It's getting late. Mr. Ling hasn't recovered yet, so he should rest early. Yu Yunlan smiled brightly at Ling Feng and prepared to leave. Miss Yu. Ling Feng stopped Yu Yunlan and said with a smile, my body is fine, and I have been troubled by Xianxia sect for some time. I will prepare to return to Wenxian sect early tomorrow morning. Leaving tomorrow? Yu Yunlan's heart thumped, and she felt inexplicably a little disappointed, but she quickly nodded, I understand, I will tell my father and mother. Ling Feng cupped his fists and saluted Yu Yunlan, well, then there's Miss Lao Yu. Yu Yunlan bit her lower lip and took a deep look at Ling Feng, I'll see you off tomorrow. After saying that, he turned around and left this quiet villa with Xiao. Looking at Yu Yunlan's leaving figure, Ling Feng smiled faintly and thought to himself, this Miss Yu is actually a pretty good girl. Hey, kid, our eldest lady seems to be interested in you. When Tingguang looked back at Ling Feng, his eyebrows dancing with joy. Senior, you are joking. Ling Feng shook his head. Not to mention whether Yu Yunlan had a good impression of him, for the time being, he had no plans to consider his children's personal relationship keep getting stronger. Then, taking back what belongs to him from the Yen family in Dongdu and finding out his life experience are the only goals in his heart at this moment. That's all, I, an old man, should stop talking too much. When Tingguang patted Ling Feng on the shoulder, I'll take you back tomorrow. Thank you, Senior Wen. Ling Feng was sincerely grateful. With Wen Tingguang's escort, there was no need to worry about safety issues. Secondly, he could quickly return to the Xianxia sect. Otherwise, he would have to rely on his Qingling light wing. I think I'll fly there next month. Hey, it seems that you only regard me, Wen, as a bad old man after all. Forget it, I'm afraid I'll never hear you call me Brother Wen in this life. Wen Tingguang shook his head and sighed softly. Turned around and left sadly. Ling Feng knew that he was pretending, so he smiled bitterly in his heart, but still shouted at Wen Tingguang's back, Brother Wen. Ha ha ha, this is ridiculous. Wen Ting immediately took out a jar of wine from the space ring like a magic trick, laughed and said, come on, let's have a drink. As a close disciple of Duanmu Qingshan, Ling Feng's drinking capacity has naturally improved a lot. He immediately nodded and said with a smile, okay, I'll drink until I get drunk today. Thanks to Chen Hengli, Nian Tai, playing, user 183 *****4017, Plum Blossom. Dancing with me in the red dust for your reward support, thank you all, please collect and vote. Chapter 100 The Royal Physician of the Kingdom of God, Ling Feng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Early the next morning, Ling Feng and Wen Tingguang went to the waterside pavilion where the patriarch Yu Zhonglian was resting. Since Yu Zhonglian had not fully recovered, Ling Feng still felt it was necessary to give a few words of advice to the sect leader who was concerned about the country and the people. Soon, the two came to Yu Zhonglian's room, where the sect leader's wife Honglian and Yu Yunlan were both there. At this time, Yu Zhonglian was leaning on the desk, seeming to be carving something with his own hands, while Honglian and Yu Yunlan stood quietly aside. Today, Yu Yunlan has changed into a light blue dress. Her hair is like a waterfall, with some colorful silk ribbons hanging between her hair, giving her elegance a touch of playfulness. Ling Feng was slightly startled and couldn't help but feel a little obsessed, like a fairy from another world. She is so beautiful that she is clear and agile, and is incomparable. It is no exaggeration to say that she is stunningly beautiful. However, Ling Feng's eyes quickly fell on Yu Zhonglian. Logically speaking, this sect leader should not get out of bed so quickly, but after all, he is a strong man with profound cultivation, and his physique is different from ordinary people. Although the vitality diagram has not yet been completely completed, but has regained its former energy. Master Ling. Seeing Ling Feng come in, Yu Yunlan and her daughter immediately greeted him. Miss Yu, Mrs. Yu. Ling Feng nodded slightly, looked at Yu Zhonglian at the desk, and asked with some confusion, "What is the sect master doing?" "A gift." Yu Yunlan smiled sweetly, "Daddy is going to give you a gift." "A gift?" Ling Feng looked at the square sign in Yu Zhonglian's hand, which seemed to be some kind of token, and thought it was probably some kind of token from the Xianxia sect. After waiting for a moment, Yu Zhonglian finally put away the carving knife in his hand, let out a long breath, saw Ling Feng, smiled lightly and said, "Little brother, you are here." "Yes." Ling Feng nodded slightly and said, "Although the sect leader has recovered some physical strength, he should not waste his energy so much. Have you forgotten what I said? Don't work too hard within half a year. It's just this once, it won't happen next time." Yu Zhonglian gently placed the token in his hand on the table. Ling Feng glanced around and saw the word Ling Feng clearly engraved on the front of the token. The writing was vigorous and had an intimidating momentum. "This is..." Ling Feng's eyes flashed. As a doctor, he knew very well what the carvings on this token meant, the royal physician of the kingdom of God. This is a token symbolizing the royal physician of the kingdom of God. This is the highest honor for a doctor. Even those descendants of Taoist medical families need to go through many tests if they want to obtain this token, just like the previous descendant of the Sun family, Sun Si. Even with Sun Si's talent, he only got this token when he was in his early 20s, and was even called the youngest imperial doctor of the kingdom of God in the empire. But now it seems that this name is about to change hands. The token of the royal physician of the kingdom of God is given to you. Yu Zhonglian smiled faintly, "This is carved by our own hands. Immediately, our sect will have someone report it to the court and register your name in the register. Starting today, you are the real deal, the royal physician of the kingdom of God." Ling Feng took a deep breath. He didn't like to pursue fame or fortune, but the words imperial doctor of the kingdom of God were the highest recognition for a doctor. Even for Ling Feng, it was inevitable that there would be waves in his heart. "Thank you, master." Ling Feng put away the token and showed it to those descendants of the Taoist medical family. How can they pretend to be bad in front of him? Is he a descendant of a Taoist medical family very powerful? "I have a medical order from the kingdom of God. With your medical skills, you definitely deserve your reputation." Yu Zhonglian slowly looked at Ling Feng, "It's a pity. If a talent like you can stay." "Sect master, I understand." Yu Zhonglian waved his hand, "You don't have to worry about it. Lana has also told this sect about your master. Once a teacher, always a father. You did the right thing. Thank you for your understanding, master." Ling Feng quickly saluted Yu Zhonglian with a fist. "I heard from Mr. Wenge that you are leaving today and it is not convenient for me to see you off, so I will let my daughter take your place and see you out of the mountain." Yu Zhonglian looked back at Yu Yunlan with a faint smile on his lips. "Yes." Yu Yunlan nodded, her pretty face blushing slightly. "By the way, sect master, I will personally escort him back to the sect." Wen Tingguang stepped forward and said. "Well, that's what it should be. It's just Lao Wenge who has to worry about it." After everyone exchanged some pleasantries, Ling Feng stopped lingering and bowed his hands to Yu Zhonglian to say goodbye. After Ling Feng and others left, the sect leader's wife Hong Lian couldn't help but sigh, "If Master Ling doesn't insist on going back, we can recommend him to study at Tianwei Academy. In the future, he and Lana will be a good match. The one who knows me is none other than Madam." Yu Zhonglian shook his head and smiled, "That's all, with this talent, no matter where I go, I can definitely make a difference. As for the views of the sect, this sect is not that pedantic. However, the head of the Yen family in Dongdu has already hinted many times that he intends to marry with our Xianxia sect. The junior of the Yen family, Yen Jinghong, is indeed a dragon among men. At a young age, he is already in the divine realm. A strong person will definitely be the one who controls the situation of the empire in the future." Honglian was a little worried. In recent years, the Yen family's power, both in the sect world and in the empire, had become more and more powerful. Yan Jinghong's success as a young man and his outstanding talents cannot be ignored. However, this Ling Feng's future achievements will also be limitless. Yu Zhonglian smiled faintly. As for whom Yu Zhonglian's daughter will marry, it naturally depends on who Lan'er likes. As long as Lan'er likes it, it doesn't matter whether it's a cat or a dog. Honglian rolled her eyes at Yu Zhonglian and spat softly. How can you be such a father? How can you say that your daughter likes cats and dogs? Ha ha ha, this sect just believes that my daughter, Yu Zhonglian, will never set her sights low. Accompanied by Yu Yunlan, they soon arrived in front of the magnificent mountain gate of Xianxia sect. After a long journey, we must say goodbye. Miss you, farewell. Ling Feng smiled casually, turned to look at Wen Tingguang, and said lightly, Brother Wen, I'm done. Easy to say. Wen Tingguang raised his eyebrows, with a proud look on his face, and glanced at Xiao provocatively. Last night, he finally tricked Ling Feng into becoming his little brother. Farewell. Yu Yunlan bit her lip, but hesitated to speak. Oh, by the way. Ling Feng seemed to have remembered something, and added, remember to tell the sect master for me that you must not use your true energy rashly, let alone work too hard, otherwise there will be more variables before the vitality map is determined. I will. Yu Yunlan looked at Ling Feng expectantly. Is there anything else? By the way, 9-section lotus root, remember to take 1 section a month, it will be of great benefit to the sect master's body. What else? There's more. Ling Feng thought carefully and then shook his head, no more. Yu Yunlan was angry for no reason and gritted her teeth, forget it if you don't have it. Xiao, let's go. After saying that, without looking back, he turned around and strode into the mountain gate. Ling Feng couldn't help but touch the back of his head. What was going on? Why did you say you were so angry? You are such an idiot. Xiao stuck out her tongue at Ling Feng and quickly chased after Yu Yunlan's back, shouting, Miss, wait for me, wait for me. Hey, brother Ling Feng, you are indeed a genius in other aspects, but when it comes to relationships, you are indeed a fool. Wen Tingguang chuckled, reached out and grabbed Ling Feng's arm. Let's go, brother, I will take you flying. As soon as the words fell, Wen Tingguang's figure turned into a bolt of lightning, soared into the sky with Ling Feng, and disappeared into the distant sky in the blink of an eye. At this time, inside the mountain gate, Yu Yunlan turned back to look at the sky and muttered to himself, You, big fool. Thank you, cat controller. For your reward support, thank you boss, please add it to your favorites, and please vote for your recommendation.